Jess. Here we are with another episode of the Inside Voice podcast. For those of you who are new, my name is Jess. I am just a person, just like you, hanging out, trying to figure out life, and I figured we could do that together because it's more fun. By trade, I am a radio broadcaster, and a journalist. I do some writing. But ultimately, I'm just somebody who is learning and exploring and chasing after something that I think is God-given and put on my heart for a reason, and just wanting to encourage you to do the same. That's what the Inside Voice podcast is all about. It's discovering who we are created to be and living a life that reflects that. For me, I've been chasing Jesus for a long time, since I was a little girl, and he's just been such a big part of my life, and he's been my life. And I just feel like he has asked me to do this podcast and to spend time with you and kind of just be that person in your life that you might need, or maybe that person in your life that you never felt like you had, somebody who is just cheering you on and in your corner being like, do it, go live life, chase after what you think God's telling you to do, go for it. That's what it's all about. So, I'm so thankful that you're here. We are talking about letting go of various things in our life so we can pursue what we believe is on our hearts, and we can chase after the things that, it's just the dreams that we have inside of us that we just can't seem to lay aside. We just can't get them off our minds. And no matter how far we've gotten into life, how far we've gotten chasing after those things, it's like they're just at the forefront of our minds. And I think that, I think God puts things on our hearts and in our minds to do for his kingdom. But I also think that he brings us so much joy when we chase after those things and when we are walking in what he designed and created for us to do and who to be as well. So letting go of different things. Last week we talked about physical things. We talked about things in our environment that we can let go of, that are holding us back from chasing after what we're supposed to be doing with our lives. We talked about cleaning out the closet, which I would love to know how your experience was with that. Like, feel free to share photos, feel free to share just input of like, oh my gosh, I found stuff that I forgot was in my closet from like 1992 or something like that. Like, feel free to share that stuff. I would love to see it. You can always tag the Inside Voice podcast on social media with the hashtag, or you can tag me directly, Miss Radio Jess, MISS Radio Jess. I would love to see it. So we talked about cleaning out the kitchen, cleaning out the pantry, cleaning out your office, just getting rid of stuff that just feels like it's weighing you down, getting rid of, social media accounts that you follow, or streaming services that might be, distracting you a little bit more than they need to, like cleaning that stuff out. It could be apps on your phone as well. And today we're talking about something that is a little more difficult to just cut out of your life, because it's people. And I say this with a little bit of trepidation. I say this carefully because I don't want you to think that like, well, I'm just cutting this person out, I'm cutting that person out, and blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm not at all saying that you need to ghost people, but I am saying that there are people in your life that are just there for a season. They're not meant to be with you 24/7. And there are also people in your life who are not supposed to be there, whether you've invited them in or not. And so we're going to talk about some different people and maybe how to go about moving away from a relationship with them. Unfortunately, as you're going through life and you're chasing after something that you truly believe in, there's always going to be pushback, and there's always going to be people that are hating on you. Just get that out of the way. The haters are going to hate. But there's always going to be people that don't want to see you succeed. There are going to be people that abuse you. There are going to be people that take advantage of you. There are going to be people that try to hold you down and hold you back. And there are going to be people that do that and they don't even realize that they're doing it. So navigating that, trying to figure out how to set those boundaries or navigate the end of that relationship so you can get back to what really, really matters. And if you're like me and you're chasing after Jesus, it's whatever he has called you to do. And oftentimes when you are chasing something like that, there are people that are the reason why there's a phrase, get thee behind me, Satan. Like, that is biblical. You think about Peter trying to stop Jesus from going to the cross, and Jesus literally looks at him and says, get behind me, Satan. He's not saying that Peter is Satan. He's just saying, like, that phrase that's coming out of your mouth is directly from the devil. You are trying to stop what I am literally on this earth to do, which is to die for the sins and for all of humanity, So get behind me, Satan. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that that was actually a biblical thing. You probably just thought it was something that you saw on TikTok. But there are always going to be those people that straight up try to stand in your way. Or, if we want to go back to a biblical reference, there's going to be Judases in your life. There are going to be people that literally just want to see you fail. They want to stop the good work that you are doing. Those are the kinds of people that you need to get out of your life. So let's just rip this Band-Aid off and talk about the people that do need to get out of your life completely. I would say, first and foremost, anybody who is abusing you needs to be out of your life. This is very easy to say, not always easy to do. I know that there are some people that are in this world and they're in relationships that are dangerous, and they're in relationships that are really scary, and it's not easy just to walk out, and it's complicated, and there's a lot of stuff involved with making that happen. I don't know your situation specifically, but I know that there are resources and there are people that you can reach out to who can help you. So if you are in an abusive relationship, now's the time to get out. Somehow, some way, it's got to happen. And if your kids are in it too, I'm praying for you, and I pray that there is an opportunity for you to get out of that sooner rather than later. Anybody who is mistreating you does not need to be in your life. I spent an entire year in therapy last year. For those of you that don't know, for those of you who are new, my mother passed away in 2021. She took her own life, and it took me a while to get to a point where I knew and recognized that I was not okay, and there was stuff that I needed to go get fixed and taken care of in therapy. And one of the things that I realized is that, this is what my therapist told me, when it comes to abuse, it's a scale, it's a spectrum. It's not just one thing. So you might be thinking that abuse is being physically mistreated, verbally mistreated, but abuse can come in other ways. Anytime an object is used in a way that it's not supposed to, that is abuse. It's misusing an object. So if you've ever been doing like a home project and you think, oh, I'll just use this, shoe as a hammer. You're not going to get far, nailing a nail into a board using a shoe as your hammer. The hammer is the proper tool to be used to take care of the nail. Does that make sense? The shoe is not the right tool to be used. You are misusing the shoe to nail in this nail. You are abusing the shoe, okay? There are things that are meant for certain purposes, and people, I believe, are meant to be treated a certain way because that's how God designed us. That is how God created us. And when you have people that are treating you outside of that, and, whether they're verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, mentally abusive, physically abusive, anytime somebody is treating you less than what God has told you, you should be treated like, which is precious and valued as a child of His, that's abuse. It can be small, it can be big. Now, again, going back to what we were talking about, there may be some really big pieces of abuse that are like anybody can look at it and say that's abuse. That's a relationship, that's a person that you need to get away from. But I also want to let you know that there are going to be other people that are showing abusive tendencies towards you, and they may not even know it. They may think that they're operating with the best of intentions, and they don't realize that they're mistreating you with the way that they're speaking about you, or the way that they're, treating you. Like they think that maybe they're being helpful or funny or whatever, but they're not. That is a level of abuse because they are misusing you. Those are people that you don't need in your life, or those are people that you need to have a conversation with and set a boundary with. I know it sounds so scary to say the word abuse when it's one of those scary terms that it's like we feel like it's reserved for really extreme situations. But again, like what my therapist told me, it's one of those words that's just, there's a scale of it, and there's minor little situations of abuse, and then there's like hardcore, over the top, like absolutely atrocious forms of it as well. So just be on the lookout for little things that are harmful to you. If you are pursuing what you believe God has told you to do, you're going to have to get really good at recognizing when the enemy is trying to hurt you, whether he's using another person or some other thing in your life to hold you back. And you're going to have to, say, "Get behind me, Satan." Those people who are actively trying to sabotage you or take advantage of you or use you in any way, those are not people that you need in your life when you're just trying to do the thing. I remember when I was getting serious about working out more often. Everybody's got an opinion on that. Everybody's going to tell you, well, you should be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. But one thing that I heard so much was, "Oh, be careful." Okay. Thanks. I wanted to move my body more. I wanted to build strength and endurance. I wanted to eat better. And I've heard so many people telling me to be careful. And I understand that there's a legitimacy to that. There's a, hey, you could get hurt doing these workouts. Hey, you could be cutting out food groups or something that are actually really beneficial for you. That's what they always say, like consult your doctor before you embark on some crazy, fitness journey or anything like that. I get that. I get that there were people in my life that really had genuinely good intentions of like, hey, I'm just looking out for you. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Please be careful when you're working out. But for the most part, I think me making a commitment to myself in that way actually revealed a way that they were not committing to themselves. And the easiest way and the most unintentional way to sabotage somebody, again, they're not meaning to do this, is to simply make them second guess what they're doing. And it could be with a phrase as simple as, "Well, you should be careful, you could get hurt emotionally if you try to put yourself out there and date. Oh gosh, you have this really big project that you want to do. You got a podcast that you want to start. You've got, a book that you want to write. Okay, be careful, Just because it feels out of reach to them, they kind of cast that on you, but do it in a way that like makes it seem like they care. You know what I mean? And this is up to you to decide whether or not they're sabotaging you or if they've got your best interests at heart. Like I think that's where you need to be honest with people, and that's where you need to have conversations with people of like, hey, like I'm trying this thing, and sometimes the things that you say don't make me feel like you support me or like you're in my corner. Now, I'll be honest with you, like we're not saying you need a bunch of yes people around you. There are going to be people that you need in your life to hold you accountable. Like, let's not get it twisted. We're not talking about people that are, your ride or dies that are, just trying to make sure that you're not doing something stupid. Like we need those people in our lives. And actually we need people in our lives that disagree with us too, or people that are smarter than us that can go, oh, well, let's think about that. How does this look? What does this look like as you move forward? Like we need people that kind of push against us a little bit in a good way. They say that iron sharpens iron. Well, there's friction that happens when that iron sharpens the other iron. It's not like just some slip and slide situation and then you've got a sharp blade. There is friction and there's hardship and there's an accountability there. So hold on to those people for sure, and make room for them as well. You might have a bunch of people in your life and it feels good to have a lot of friends or a lot of acquaintances or followers or whatever, but maybe they're not doing for you what you need. Nobody needs like a bunch of yes people in their lives. So, just to get my bearing straight, because I feel like I went off on a lot of tangents here, but people that need to be out of your life immediately are those who are treating you poorly, those who are abusing you, and those who are actively trying to sabotage you. Again, you're going to have to determine whether or not those people are really trying to harm you or if they're trying to help you. You're going to have to figure out if they're not, maybe they're just trying to steer you in the right direction and they're not hating on you. You know what I mean? Maybe they're not trying to sabotage you. Maybe they're just trying to say, hey, I've been down this road before and this is what I learned. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to discern those things. But I think even just talking about this now, you've got some people that you're like, this person's great and they were so fun for this season of my life, but I don't think that we really should be spending that time together anymore. Or, I'm trying to be nice to this person, but, they actually make me feel really bad about myself. Like, there might be some conversations that need to happen. And if those people aren't willing to reflect on it or aren't willing to hear you out, then maybe they don't need to be a part of your life anymore. This sounds so terrible because even just saying it out loud, I'm like, gosh, people are going to think that like I hate people. I don't hate people. We need people in our lives. And Jesus calls us to love one another and to love people on this earth with his love. I truly, firmly believe that. But I also know that like, gosh, there's just some mean people out there that aren't helpful. I guess is the best way to put it. I don't want you to put yourself in a situation that is detrimental to your health, physically, mentally, or emotionally, just because you feel like you need to love them. You can love them at a distance, okay? They don't need to be all up in your business 24/7 directing your life, There are just some circles that you probably don't need to run around in. I also understand that there's complicated relationships like family. There are family members that you can't cut them out, I know that there are extreme situations, but I think that there are a lot of misunderstandings in families where it's like if we were just to have an open conversation and maybe set a boundary, the relationship could still be there and not be so detrimental. I'm not telling you to cause a divide in your family or whatever, but I am telling you to think about who you let in to your inner layer. And this goes for friends and colleagues and stuff too. Like there's different layers of relationships and friendships, and maybe they don't get super close to the core. Maybe you can kind of keep them a little more at a distance. I'm not saying that you need to be mean to people, but again, just set boundaries. And this goes for people that can be, they're wonderful people. They're well-to-do people. They are people that support you and are encouraging to you. But maybe when you're around them, you make bad decisions. Maybe you've got people around you that are just one big temptation, like you've set a boundary for yourself and you're chasing after like eating healthy. And you're like, you know what? Part of my eating healthy journey is I don't want to drink, and I want to do a fast, or I want to cut it out completely and be sober. Well, maybe you don't need to be around the people that are questioning that decision or are encouraging you to drink or making you feel bad because you don't want to drink. Those are people that are not helpful, So like we talked about last week, being brutally honest with yourself and brutally honest with the people around you is really, really important. So as you are looking at your circles, the wide circles, the broad circles, and like the really tight knit circles as well, try to draw in the people that are going to be encouraging, affirming, and also push you in a good way and challenge you in a good way. Try to draw those people into your inner circle, and the other ones, like, push them a little further out. Again, we can still love them. We just don't have to let them in that close or that deep. You know what I mean? So be honest with yourself. And if you need to have an honest conversation with those people, please do it. It'll make things a lot better for you, and it might make things a lot better for them as well. Not everybody likes a boundary. Not everybody likes a boundary that you set for yourself, but also people don't like when boundaries are set on them. But I think in the long run, they'll respect you more for those boundaries because they know where you sit, they know what your priorities are. So yeah. Moving on from, people that we have relationships with, friends and family members, let's talk about social media. I know we talk a lot about social media, but it's kind of become like this other person. It's a social platform where we do have these weird relationships with other people that may be real or they're not real, but they feel real because we're connected with them on social media. And if we didn't have a platform like TikTok or Instagram, we probably would never know this person or be involved in their life at all. There are a lot of wonderful, beautiful things about social media because of that connection, because I can find people that are encouraging, inspiring, that feel like my sister or my brother on social media. And that's a wonderful, beautiful thing. But also there are people on social media, again, whether you have a real connection with them or not, that can absolutely change you in a way that is not good. Social media is one of those things that you can find everything you need to find to confirm whatever it is that you're thinking. And that can be scary. What do they call it, an echo chamber? You can find plenty of platforms that support and affirm what you're thinking, whether it's good or not. Social media it's a two-edged sword. Again, a lot of good can come from it, but a lot of bad can come from it as well. So what I would do is I would diversify the people that I'm following. Just like we want people in our lives that are not yes people, we want people that are gonna kind of challenge us and kind of, sharpen us as iron. We want that on social media. We want different opinions. Otherwise, we do end up in that echo chamber. We want people that make us go, I need to figure that out on my own. My dad, he's so funny. When I was growing up, he always told me, he's like, Jess, you don't need to debate every single person you come around. You don't need to argue with somebody just because they said something that maybe you don't agree with. He always encouraged me to listen to people, take that information, put it in my back pocket, and then go figure out how I truly felt and believed about that. And growing up, he was a pastor, and just, I know he did that biblically so much. And that was really what he was encouraging me to do. He's like, you don't have to have this philosophical, crazy debate with somebody that gets heated. You can take whatever they've said, go back, put it before the Lord, put it in scripture, and find out what truth is. You know what I mean? And then move forward. Now, there's going to be times when, you're going to need to just pull out your truth guns and let them go blazing, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I always just thought that was so interesting. And so much that we see on social media, we get so heated. We just want to get in the comment section and just go crazy, type, clack, 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 clack. When we can just, see that kind of content, think about it, figure out what truth is, and move on from it. And I think sometimes, there are just some people on social media that we follow. Maybe we followed them back in the day, and we no longer see eye to eye with them, or we no longer they're no longer pushing us towards something positive. You can unfollow that person. Just because you followed them at one point in your life doesn't mean you have to continue to follow them. You know what I mean? Especially if you don't have a personal relationship with them, or even if you do. There's so many people that I know in my life, and I'm like, oh, I met you one time. You're a friend of a friend, and we followed each other on social media, but we haven't spoken or connected or anything for 8 years. And it's just weird. Again, social media, it's just so strange. We connect with these people thinking that we're so oh, this is, we're going to be friends. And yeah, but we're not. We're just like we're just another number in their follower section, It's just interesting to me. Um, but getting back to cutting out people that are not, doing good for you, I think social media is one of those things that, like, that should be so easy for you to unfollow anything that makes you question, the God-given purpose that you've been given, like what he's put on your heart to pursue, what he is calling you to do. Anything that's going to be a Peter or a Judas and either sell you out or make you second guess yourself, like, that needs to be out of there. Like, you got to be in line with what he's telling you to do. Any social media accounts that make you feel less than. There are some, I follow a lot of country artists because of my job, because I'm a country radio broadcaster, but also quite a few celebrities. And I remember thinking, it feels so aggressive to unfollow somebody. But, like, at the end of the day, this person has 8 million followers. They're not going to know that I unfollowed them. It doesn't matter. I'm not hurting their feelings. They don't even know who I am. But there's just something about, like, well, everybody follows them. I should unfollow. I should keep following them. But if they're making you feel less than, I don't care if it's dang Taylor Swift, If something about Taylor's content makes you feel less than, makes you feel depressed or sad, or makes you feel like you can't pursue your dreams because she's already done it all, unfollow her. There's nothing wrong with that, You want to follow things that are edifying and that are motivating and that make you feel good, like, that make you feel like you can chase after what you want and you can accomplish great things. Like, stop following the stuff that makes you feel like you can't. There's no point in that, So yeah, I think another person that you need to cut out of your life completely is the old version of you that's holding you back. The old version of you that says you can't do it because of your past or because of your mistakes, and a lot of that is just the enemy telling you that you're not good enough. But I think oftentimes we hold on to this person that we used to be, and it's hurting us. It can be hurting us because we're holding on to who we were as a kid that was scared and not confident and shy and never felt like they were good enough. We're holding on to that kid for some reason that's inside of us. Let them go. Let that little girl, let that little boy go. We're holding on to maybe somebody who actually was very successful. Maybe we had a season in our life where we were accomplishing a lot. I think about when I was in high school, I got good grades. I played sports. I got a couple of MVP trophies. I got to let that person go because she's not me anymore. That season of my life is done. And if I keep thinking that either I'll be her again or those awards and accolades mean something today, like, all I'm doing is holding myself back. These people, the people that are, like, still living in the glory days of the old times and they can't seem to let it go. And they're so stagnant in their life now because they're holding on to that. Like, think of Uncle Rico in the movie Napoleon Dynamite. He's always talking about, we could have gone to state. I could have taken us to state. And it's like, bro, you're a loser. I know that's so extreme, but if the past version of yourself that you have just, blown up into this incredible person that you could never be again, if you're still holding on to that, it's got to go. Meet yourself where you're at and begin again. We talked about that in the Begin Again series. But yeah, any old version of you that isn't serving you now, you've got to let go. Whether that person was a failure or a big successful superstar. Either way, if it's not helping you now, that version of yourself, you have got to let go of, because you can't go back and be them again. And nothing about holding on to them back in the day is going to be helping you now. If you can find a way to channel something out of that, maybe you were a kid that was insecure and you can tap into that and be like, I never want to feel like that insecure kid again. Use that as your motivation. That's great. But ultimately, I think a lot of times we hold on to past versions of ourselves, and it just keeps us from ever moving forward. So yeah, I think the homework this week would be to think about the people in your life that are good for you and are healthy for you, and draw them in closer. Pick up the phone and deepen that relationship with them. Think about the people that are harming you, hindering you, holding you back, and think about maybe the conversations that you're going to have with them and how your relationship with them might need to be adjusted just a little bit. And ultimately, if there are people that are abusing you, don't waste another second on them. Like, get away from those people, get away from those relationships for your own health, safety, and well-being. And then you can look at things like the social media aspect and the old versions of yourself as well. So think about that this week, really think about who's helping and who's hurting you as you're moving forward. As we continue on next week, as we are letting go of things, we've done physical things, we've done people. Now, next week, we're going to talk about you. What are some things in you that are holding you back that you just got to let go of? I'll see you next week.